Hello everyone, this is Kyle Wersinski and I'm going to be doing my week 4 presentation for MPA 540 on generations and what generation we are. So the question is, what generation am I? And if you look at the years, technically I'm right on the border between Generation X and Millennials. I get this question a lot during my career at the city, and whenever I have a supervisor or I have a colleague ask, I tell them I'm really a mixture of both, and I'm going to tell you why. In fact, the answer that I'll provide within this presentation is that I'm an exennial. So what is an exennial? And that is someone that was born in the late 1970s or very early 1980s that fall somewhat in between these two generations, and I can explain why. Um, Growing up, unlike Generation Xers, were not familiar with the Cold War. We weren't stressed out or depressed because of that, and I also didn't have the stress level of Afghanistan and those types of things when I was growing up as millennials did. Other things I can state for my micro generation are that we grew up without the internet, but we were there and capable of using the internet as soon as it was implemented. So I grew up before we had cell phones. I didn't have a cell phone. I had a prepaid cell phone when I first had a car in case my car broke down. We also had pagers. Some people don't even know what a pager is or what it was for. The the other thing I always tell people is that I remember how to get a book from the library without an actual computer telling me where that book was. It may be a new concept for millennials out there, but for my generation, we know how to do that. So, in getting into the material, I identify with both generations, but not exactly the same. So, Generation X, I identify with my motivators being security and salary versus a millennial who's motivated by life factors and relationships. I'm very goal oriented. I can multitask efficiently and effectively, and I prefer to dress business casual versus just comfortable like the millennials do. I am also not overly optimistic like millennials. I like to get down to hard work, and I feel like I need experience and work product to be confident in what I can do. But on the flip side, I do believe in the millennials' want for work-life balance, something that's very important to me. I'm also very social, tenacious, and confident. The last thing I'd like to say on this is that if you want to peg me, I'd prefer to actually talk to someone on the phone or in person when dealing with work duties versus sending text messages or emails. So one of my friends or family that I work with, I'm gonna go with friend, and they're Gen Xer, just I would say a little bit older than I am, and they don't have some of the millennial traits. Very positive attitude, but what I found from this individual is that they jump from city to city every 2 to 3 years, so they don't have that loyalty that the baby boomers did or the traditionalists did. They also dress business casual with their attire, and that their retention is similar to mine, which is security and salary. So that's really what I figured out from observing their actions and their demeanor, and applying it to the generational characteristics that have been explained this week. So, how to manage people of multiple generations throughout the workplace? There's no simple answer for this one. I'm going to have to go with you need the ability to be flexible in your management style and your leadership style. You need to display patience because it's going to be different working with people from different generations. And you need to know what is needed to motivate each generation. Like we've gone into this week, each generation has their own set of desires and needs and wants. And for a manager or a leader to effectively work with those colleagues or subordinates, you'll need to know what each of their generational needs and wants are and be able to provide those in order to motivate and influence each group. So really you have to tailor make your management style towards the individuals that you're managing. So lastly, which theorists really apply to what I've been talking about? And I think Vroom's expectancy theory is something like that. The rewards that are important to people need to be altered based on the generation. So what may be a positive reward for a baby boomer or Gen Xer is not necessarily going to create the same level of balance with a millennial or even a Generation Z. So that's something to keep aware of. And then McGregor's theory X and theory Y, different generations are going to have different intrinsic motivators. And to be able to manage effectively, like I said on the previous slide, a manager or a leader really needs to identify what the individual's needs and wants are and tailor make their leadership style and their relationships and their influences over that person to make sure that they're motivated in the correct way. So thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to watching all of your presentations as well. Thank you so much. Bye.